Assalamualaikum my dear students, welcome to studyhigh.pk and subscribe, keep in contact for more videos and update. Today we are going to start discussion on our lecture number 3, clinicals of lower limb. In this lecture we will discuss the different type of clinical of tibia bone, like common site of fracture of tibia, osteomyelitis and its relation with tibia, buccal handle tear, bumper fracture or compound fracture, Osgood circulatory disease, transverse march or stress fracture, diagonal fracture. So let's start discussion on clinical of tibia. So first of all, I want to discuss what is the common site of fracture of tibia bone. Here is a tibial bone. If we divide this tibia bone into three parts, or upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. So we divide tibia into three parts: upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. This part at the junction of the middle one third and inferior one third is the weakest part of the tibia bone, or the common site of fracture for tibia, because it is the narrowest and its blood supply is very poor as compared to other parts of the tibia. We can also say that these two combined called upper two third. So upper two parts also called the junction of the upper two third and inferior one third is the weakest or the common site of fracture of tibia bone, as this part has a poorest blood supply. So the junction of middle one third and inferior one third, or the junction of the upper two third and inferior or lower one third, is the common site of fracture for tibia bone, because this part of the tibia has very poor blood supply. Now we are going to discuss our second clinical related to tibia bone, acute osteomyelitis. What happens mostly in growing bones of children or between the age of 10 to 16 years. When there is a growing phase of children's, what happens? The bacteria, just assume these are the culture of bacteria. This is bacteria. It may got enter into our bloodstream. As a result, you can say that this bacteria is Staphylococcus aureus, that mostly involved in causing acute osteomyelitis. What is acute osteomyelitis? It is the infection of the bone. So acute osteomyelitis is the infection of bone. Mostly it occurs because of injury, or when a bone is exposed to different type of germs because of open fracture. But in children's, sometimes what happens, the bacteria called Staphylococcus aureus may got enter into our bloodstream. As a result, as growing bones require a large amount of water, and there is a rapid supply of our blood through our blood circulatory system to the growing bones of the children or between the age of 10 to 16 years. So these bacteria may also infect our growing bones, and the most common part that these bacteria can infect is the metaphysis. I have also explained you in previous lectures what is metaphysis. Here is any bone. This is a rounded upper part of the bone. It is called epiphysis. Whereas just below the epiphysis is a part called metaphysis that contain epiphyseal plate that involve in growth of bones in children. So these bacteria mostly infect the epiphyseal plate region called metaphysis. So as a result, growth of the growing bones may also be affected, and sometimes what happen, just assume this is a tibia upper part, this is a knee joint that is formed between tibial upper part and lower part of femur. So sometimes this infection may also be spread into our joint, causing arthritis. So mostly, what are the causes of acute osteomyelitis? Infection of the bone. Who infection of bone occurs in children and adults. In children or sometimes in adults due to the blood. Blood is the source of bacteria that provides or that is the source that cause entry of bacteria into this region of the bone. As a result, these bacteria may infect the metaphysis. Metaphysis is affected, growth of the bone will be affected, and sometimes these bacteria may also affect the joint causing arthritis. Whereas if there is a direct injury of bones in adults, osteomyelitis may also occurs because of entry of bacteria into the fractured bone. So this is acute osteomyelitis. Why it occurs in upper part of tibia, or why upper part of tibia is the commonest site of attack of acute osteomyelitis? Because these bacteria affect the metaphysis, and metaphysis is present just below the upper part containing epiphyseal plate. So, in the topic of acute osteomyelitis, first of all, I inform you what is osteomyelitis. It is an infection of the bone, like infection of liver, infection of stomach. It is an infection of bone. And how it occurs in children? Because blood provides the source, or blood is the source or carrier that carries a different type of bacteria. Sometimes it also be occurred by fungus strains. And blood, when blood, as in youngs or in children's, blood supply to the bone, to growing bone, is very large as compared to adult. As adult, these bacteria can affect the metaphysis of the bone. Metaphysis that contain growing plate may be affected because of osteomyelitis. Now we are going to discuss our next clinical bucket handle tear. What is bucket handle tear? As you know, here is your tibia bone that involve in formation of joint with condyles of the femur bone. Between the condyles, there are meniscus, medial meniscus, lateral meniscus that involve in supporting the knee joint. What is the structure of these meniscus? Like here is a medial meniscus. It may a C-shape or moon-shaped structure of medial and lateral meniscus. Now I am going to inform you what is buccal handle tear. There may be a rupture in this meniscus. Just assume this is a rupture. This is a ruptured part of our medial or lateral meniscus. So this rupture is a tear or broken part of meniscus is called bucket handle tear. First of all, I want to inform you bucket handle tear is possible in both lateral or medial meniscus, but it is most common in medial meniscus. That's why sometimes is we call bucket handle tear of medial meniscus. Why it is more common in medial meniscus? Because lateral meniscus of our tibia and femur joint is loose. It can move forward and backward easily, whereas medial meniscus is tightly attached. It cannot perform a lot of movement. So the binding of medial meniscus is very hard as compared to lateral meniscus. That's why the major fracture that is possible between the condyle of tibia and the meniscus is tear of medial meniscus. And during radiographs, you will see the lightened part of the medial meniscus that is intact, lightened part, and there will be a dark part that shows that meniscus has been broken. Central, the different types of tear of medial meniscus, but here I am only going to inform you about bucket handle tear of medial meniscus. So first of all, I inform you about bucket handle tear. It is a tear of meniscus that may be of lateral meniscus or medial meniscus, but bucket handle tear is mostly related to medial meniscus because it is tightly bound or compact between the condyles of femur and upper part of tibia, whereas lateral meniscus is loosely attached, so it bears more weight or more stress. Medial meniscus bears more stress as compared to lateral meniscus. So that's why we call bucket handle tear of medial meniscus. In radiograph, there will be a unlightened area in the center of the meniscus, medial meniscus. So bucket handle tear is a fracture or rupture of the medial meniscus, or sometimes maybe of lateral meniscus. Now we are going to discuss our next clinical of tibia bone, bumper fracture or compound fracture. As our tibia bone is more subcutaneous bone, it is present just under the skin. So sometimes what happens due to some injuries, if a car or road accidents, this the front side of the tibia because of a large pressure of fracture. If a car directly hits your tibia, front of tibia, there may be a breakdown of your tibia along with your fibula bone. So this is called bumper fracture because of hitting of the bumper or a large force hit on your shaft of tibia, as it is the most subcutaneous bone of the body, and injury to the shaft of tibia is most common, as during football players there is a physical block by other player, or especially when a car bumper strikes the leg. Bumper fracture or compound fracture of tibia occurs. In bumper fracture, like here is your tibia bone, it may be fractured from this part totally, and its fibula bone will also be broken because the bumper or a large force has broken the shaft of the tibia. Not from its commoner side, maybe from upper one third, depending where the bumper hits the fracture bone. And also a lot of blood as you can see here. Here is the blood here. So it is a compound or bumper fracture because this is more subcutaneous bone, and when a large force of any type like a car bumper strikes your leg, especially shaft of tibia, it may result in breakdown of both fibula and tibia regions. Now we are going to discuss our next clinical Osgood Secretor disease. First of all, I want to inform you, Osgood is the name of the scientist. So do not be confused by this word, what different type of disease is this. So Osgood is the name of the scientist who discovered this name or named this disease. First of all, I want to inform you how Osgood disease occurs in patients. Here is your femur bone, here is patella. If you know that your quadriceps, your rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, all whose all insert on the patella, some on the lateral side of the patella, some on medial side of patella, and here from the insertions of these quadriceps or insertions of rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, then in forward patella forms a ligament with the tibial tuberosity that is present on the tibia bone. So here is your tibial tuberosity, and this ligament is called ligamentum patella that originates from patella and inserts on tibial tuberosity. So Osgood secretor disease is the inflammation of this ligamentum patella. Due to inflammation, it may also exert tension on the epiphyseal plate and can also, due to the disruption of the epiphyseal plate, can also jeopardize or destroy or inhibit the growth of growing bones. So the Osgood secretor disease is the inflammation of ligamentum patella that originates from patella and inserts into tibial tuberosity. Different types of inflammations can be possible in different types of muscles of the body, like muscles of the hand may also get inflamed. So what is the treatment of this condition? If there is an inflammation of a ligament or inflammation of any muscle, the best treatment is to apply cold ibuprofen tablets for reducing inflammation, but a large period of taking these tablets or medicine ibuprofen may also cause other infections as well. A little stretching are the common preventive methods to cure the inflammation of these ligaments and muscles. So first, first of all, you must know what is Osgood Schletter disease and what is the cause of this disease, inflammation of ligamentum patella, and what is the origin and insertion of ligamentum patella and tuberosity. There is an inflammation of ligamentum patella or tubular tuberosity. As a result, it may also put infection or put stress or tension on the epiphyseal plate, or sometimes disruption of epiphyseal plate may involve in causing the inflammation of this ligamentum patella or tibial tuberosity. This is called Osgood Schletter disease. And cure of this disease: apply cold, taking ibuprofen for reducing inflammation, and other stretching, taking rest, etc. Now we are going to discuss the next clinical of tibia. First, here is your tibia bone. If you remember, it has three parts: upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. Here is upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. First of all, you must know what is the site of fracture of this transverse march fracture, also called transverse stress fracture of tibia. So it occurs on the lower one third. So this is the main thing. First of all, you must remember what is the site of fracture of transverse march fracture or transverse stress fracture. So lower one third or inferior one third of tibial shaft is the commonest site of transverse march fracture. It is not a very complicated or complex, but a patient may can swim, the patient can perform other types of habits like gym, but that not related to the shaft of the tibia or any activity. Patient can perform any activity except those that involve the shaft of the tibia or tibial bone. Why this transverse march fracture occurs? If a person who is not a regular athlete but started running or hiking for a long period of time, after a long period of time, and he continue to work for this or playing football after a long time, can feel a pain in this area of tibial shaft in the anterior side of the tibia. This is called transverse march fracture because this person has not worked for a long time, then started to work or running or hiking for a long distance after a long period. As a result, transverse march fracture occurs. A rest of 2 to 3 days may involve in curing of this fracture. So this is not much complicated, but you must know what is transverse march fracture and what is the site of this fracture. Inferior or lower one third is the commonest site of fracture of transverse march or transverse stretch fracture. And in what type of patient it occurs? In patients that are not our regular athletes or started running or walking for a long distance after a long time may cause stress fracture on the inferior one third of the shaft of the tibia, and this patient may feel pain in the anterior side of the tibial bone. Now we will discuss the diagonal fracture of the tibia. As you know that the tibial bone, the commonest site of fracture is the middle two third, middle one third, and junction of the middle one third and inferior one third of tibia. What happens during some sport activities? There may be a diagonal or spiral fracture of the tibia. As a result, what will happen? Along with tibia, there is also a fracture of the fibula bone. And this is a diagonal fracture in such way that their fragments may override each other. As a result of this diagonal fracture, there is a diagonal breakdown of tibia and the fibula. As a result, the fractured fragments of the tibia may override each other, one in downside direction and other in upward direction. So as you can see, The length of tibia in normal is here. After diagonal fracture, when the fragments override each other, their length will be reduced. So length of the limb there will be very low in diagonal fracture as compared to other types of fracture, and shortening of the limb occurs as a result of overriding of the different fragments of the fractured tibia and fibula. So there is a limb shortening that occurs in diagonal fracture of tibia and fibula. And the most common site of diagonal fracture is middle one third, junction of middle one third and inferior one third, are simply the commonest site of breakdown or fracture of tibia bone, that is junction of upper two third or middle lower one third, or simply junction of middle one third and inferior one third. So this is a common site, and diagonal fracture mostly occurs at this site, and it also results in shortening of the limb of the patient that involved in this fracture. So these are the different type of diseases that we have discussed today. What is the common site of fracture? No, you know, osteomyelitis, how it cause, how infection of bones occurs in children and adults, not buckle, bucket handle tear, bumpers fracture or compound fracture, osgood-schletter disease, transverse march or stress fracture. In what part of tibia occurs? In lower one third. What is the cause of this transverse march or stress fracture? If a person start walking, running, or performing any athletic activity for a long distance after a long time, he may involve or face this type of fracture. Diagonal fracture, which involve the shortening of the limb as well, and its common site. So these are the discussions about the clinicals of tibia bone. In next lecture, we will discuss the Q angle and the relative diseases of Q angle. How you can differentiate between the two skeletons, whether a skeleton is of male or female. Hope you best of luck. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you, Allah Hafiz.